Hello, Marauders. I'm Chief Chicken, and today we're going to see if you can draw things following the directions, like this. So you want a large piece of paper and draw a big triangle. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can be scalene. All sides are different lengths, or you can make it perfect. So do that first, and then I'll tell you the next step. So this is day 4. And today you're going to do some drawing and see if you can follow the directions. And normally I would do flashcards. There's about 100 vocabulary flashcards, but we won't be doing those. Next slide. Okay, so this is what you saw me start. Use a ruler. Draw any large triangle. You can make it scalene if you like. After you draw it, find and label the midpoint of each side. Be exact. Then connect the midpoints. Name 2 things that you notice. Okay, I'm going to try it over here. Okay, so I got my triangle. Use a ruler. The larger it is, the easier. Now you have to find the midpoint of each side. Well, how do I find the middle point? No guessing. Has to be exact. You could measure with a ruler, or some people just do this. Fold it so the corners just touch. Some people like to look through the paper and can see it. If you have trouble seeing the corners, you can darken in the corners, like put some dots at the end points, and then that way you can see it a little bit better. And sometimes you can see it doesn't show up in the camera, and then you could pinch it. Or you could just go like this, get them so perfect. And once you got them on top of each other, but don't let it slip. That's why it's good to look through. And then pinch it. Don't crease it, just make a little pinch. Then unfold it, and where you've got this little crease, you don't want a nice crease all the way through your paper, that's the midpoint. That's the midpoint. We'll put a dot there. And to prove to somebody it's a midpoint, you can mark this like, say, that is the same as that. Do it to all 3 sides, then connect the midpoint. So we have 3 dots. Do it again. Fold and pinch. Connect the 3 with your ruler, and tell me 2 things that you notice. You can pause it while you do it. Okay, after you've got it done, here's some things. What parts are the same? Is anything parallel? Once again, how do you mark them? Are any angles the same? How do you mark them? And do you see any parallelograms? So pause the video and try to come up with those, and then I'll show you how you do it. Okay, so here's what you should have done so far. Okay, so here's mine. So once again, how do I mark it? I said these are the same. I could turn it. These are the same, but I already used 1 line, so let's use 2. That means these go together. Like if this is 5 inches, this is 5 inches. Once again, I'll do this one. I'll use 3 marks. 3 marks. That means these go together. So what else do you notice? Are there any parallel lines? Is anybody parallel to the bottom? Well, not that. But how about this one up here? It looks like this line and this line are parallel. In fact, they are. So how do I do that? I could say this goes with this. If you want to use 2 lines, you can use 2. If you want to use 3, you can use 3. And here's something else I noticed. What do you notice about the length of this and the length of this? Go ahead and check it out. You can measure it. They're exactly the same. So I can go like this. This piece is the same length as that piece. If you don't have a ruler, you can use a compass. Yes, this is a compass. Some people think you make circles with them. You could, but they're actually a tool for measuring. What you do is you stretch it out to right there, and you see that length? Then you go over here and check. Hey, that's exactly the same. It's kind of like if you hold your fingers apart and go, okay, that and that. Oh, wow, that's perfect. Some people do it with their arms. The same with this. This, the same with this, the same with this. In fact, if I said this was like 4 inches, this would be 4 inches, this would be 4 inches. So something I noticed that this line is half the length of the big line. We actually call this line a midline because it's a middle line. It's halfway up and it's half the length of this. And likewise, I could rotate the paper and do this a little bit more. I could say, well, let's see. So this and this and this are the same. This direction, I already used 3, so maybe I'll use 2 lines. These go together. And likewise, I can turn it again. I haven't used a new color. Maybe I'll use 1, 2, 3, 4. It's up to you, it doesn't matter. That says these directions are the same, and because I used 2 little lines for length, I'm going to use the 2 little lines. That way I know that doesn't go with that, it goes with that. If this was like 3 and 3, this would have a length of 3. And lastly, so that's how you mark them. What about the angles? Are any angles the same? And I don't need to get this out and try to measure, but you may notice that this angle is the same as this angle. If you have parallel lines, it makes congruent angles. In other words, if I had a couple lines that were parallel, and some line came like this, these would be identical. This little angle and this little angle would match. After all, they're parallel. It's just like a copy. So how do I label that? I could say this angle goes with this angle, which actually also goes with this angle. They're all exactly the same. Some people put a little mark like this, like that. And I could find another angle. How about we find this angle right here? That angle goes with that angle, goes with that angle. Now I already used 1 mark, so I could use 2 marks. And then I could find the last one. We'll go over here. Let's see, who did we forget? There's an angle. Well, there's many angles in here. I'm looking at who I forgot. I can't seem to find it. Here we go. What this say? Here's another way some people do. Some people do like a double line and say that one goes with this one and goes with that one. You can actually find a few more. Okay, you could do this giant angle. And do I have a parallelogram? A parallelogram. That means that it's parallel lines. Well, if I look at this shape, I'm going to highlight him. And I went like this. Here's a definition of a parallelogram. You should know all about parallelograms. The opposite sides are parallel. The opposite sides are parallel. Also, the opposite sides are the same length. The opposite sides are the same length. And this is even more cool. This angle must be the same as this angle. The opposite angles in a parallelogram are the same. There's all types of cool things. In fact, this little angle is the same as this little angle. This is what we call the Z. Also called alternate interior angles. So there's so many vocabulary things. So there's lots of cool things, and I could do this even more and more and find more things that match up. A parallelogram, opposite sides are the same. I could even go, wait a minute, I see another one. This gigantic angle, how about I use like triple lines, goes with this gigantic angle. On and on, things duplicate that are identical. And I just started this with such as something so simple as folding a line. Pretty cool. Geometry is full of secrets into the shapes, but they're really not secrets. We'll let you know about them. Okay, next problem. Okay, so that's the one we just did. And this one, you're supposed to try to follow these directions and see what you draw. See if you can, how good are you at following all these directions? And it's going to make a picture of something. Well, what is it a picture of? And one of the words you're going to see in here is tangent. Here's what tangent is. is trying to label in this drawing what tangent is. If I had a straight line, like so, a tangent line is a line that just barely touches it and then turns away. I don't know how well I did that. Here's another one. Like that. Not crossing it, not whoop, no, not that. Okay, just barely touches it. For example, here's a good example. Here's a ball rolling down a hill, and the ball just barely touches it. We say tangent. I think of it as a tangerine gently touching the surface. Okay, see if you can draw that all. Draw that, pause the video, come back, I'll show you what it looked like. Okay, it says draw a horizontal segment. Okay, so horizontal segment, I drew right here, I drew a line. Draw two circles, the same size, here they are, and that are tangent and just touching. Leave some space between them. So here's step 1 and 2. Now draw a line segment above the 2. It should be extend slightly beyond the circles. So in other words, you go like this. Doesn't say how far. Label this segment's points. Label the left point L and the right point R. Draw a segment upward that is perpendicular to LR. So now you're going to go upward. I'll use a new color here. I'm doing this one. About half the length of LR. Here's LR, so go about half the length. That's about half the length. Okay, and then from there, label the top end point B. From R, draw another segment the same way. B. Do the same thing over here. Go up. It says to label this one F. Draw BF. Okay, now this one, draw BF. In other words, it wants me to connect straight across here. Connect B to F. It's hard to draw on the computer screen. So that's B to F. This is an F. This is a B. So now it looks like kind of a box. Now extend BF about 2/3 the length to the right. Oh, okay. Extend BF about 2/3 the length to the right. So they want me to go a little bit farther, not the whole length, but about 2/3 of it. Label this point X. Okay. So we'll call him X. Okay, so there's X. Use a pencil to draw a segment downward from X. That is perpendicular to LR. Okay. I lost LR. Oh, this is an R, not a B, right? R, okay. Parallel to LR. Use a pencil perpendicular to LR. Showing it to be roughly the length of FR. Whoops, I should use the drawing tool here. Okay, so having trouble doing this on here. Okay, you go there. Find the midpoint. Right there, there's M, okay. Draw MR. Whoops. Label it M. I'm sorry, I can't read my writing on the screen. This is R, because I can't read it look like a K. This is R. This was B. Okay. So connect MR. Like that. Now it says erase 6 and 7. It wants me to erase this line right here. Poof. And erase this line right here. Poof. What did you draw? And it's I guess a wagon, my 2 pole. So it's a challenge of trying to follow directions. Okay, so your homework is to do 2 through 5. Each one of these, try to follow the directions and draw it. They are much shorter. And that's it. The next video, I'll show you what they look like. Enjoy.